Now, let's conclude by looking at the Alberta provincial government's point system. In fact, it seems that the provincial government's intentions behind changing the system are somewhat visible. The score differences in language, age, experience, and education are surprisingly not significant, and it seems that there is an effort to enhance differentiation through additional points in certain areas. So, rather than having the intention to prioritize individuals with slightly better abilities by breaking down personal skills like in express entry, the focus is on prioritizing individuals who meet certain conditions desired by the provincial government. The Alberta provincial government started implementing the invitation system for the People program from September 30 to February. Let's take a look at how the Alberta Expression of Interest (EOI) system is being implemented and the main scoring criteria. First, it is important to note that the Expression of Interest (EOI) system is not a new permanent residency program. Many people misunderstand that the existing programs have disappeared and a new permanent residency program has been introduced. The existing permanent residency programs, the Alberta Opportunity Stream, AOS, Trade Stream, THS, and Regional Recruitment Stream, RRS, remain with the application process now invitation-based instead of first come, first serve. In the past, if applicants met the program eligibility requirements, they could directly submit their application for permanent residency, and the review was conducted in the order of submission. Now, the process has changed to require applicants to first register in the Expression of Interest (EOI) system, and those with higher scores within the registered pool are prioritized for applying for permanent residency. The permanent residency application process through the Expression of Interest (EOI) system can be broadly divided into 5 steps. First, applicants who meet the program qualifications register their Expression of Interest (EOI) in the program pool. Unlike the federal express entry, Alberta's Expression of Interest (EOI) uses separate pools for each program. Therefore, you must decide in advance which program to register for before submitting your application. Interestingly, it is said that even though different pools are used for each program, invitations can still be issued for programs that are not applied for. It seems to be discussing the possibility of issuing invitations to individuals who meet the qualifications in another pool in the event of a shortfall. In the Alberta UI system, an individual can register for only one pool, and the submitted Expression of Interest (EOI) is valid for 1 year. If modifications are needed, the EOI must be deleted and resubmitted. Secondly, invitations are issued at regular intervals, and the invitation scores are announced at that time. The invitations have not started yet. Looking at other programs, it is most common for invitations to occur approximately every 2 weeks. If your score exceeds the invitation score, you will receive a Notice of Interest (NOI) from the Alberta provincial government. Thirdly, upon receiving the invitation, you must accept it within 30 days and submit the permanent residency application along with all required documents within 60 days. Fourth, after submitting the documents and when it is my turn for the application review, the provincial government will conduct the review, and if I pass, I will receive the nomination certificate from the provincial government. The fifth point is the last one. You will submit the federal permanent residency application and the provincial approval letter. The federal government will conduct a review of disqualifications for the entire family. If there are no special issues with criminal records or medical examinations, you will now finally receive your permanent residency. Now, let's take a look at how the scores are distributed. The total score for education is 22 points. If you have studied in Canada, you can receive additional points, and particularly, if you have studied in Alberta, you can receive 10 points. In the case of studying related to trade occupations, for example, if one has received a degree or certificate in specific skilled trades such as chef, maker, welder, construction-related skilled positions, or beautician, they will receive the same 7 points as a bachelor's degree, even though the study period is shorter. The experience score has a total of 21 points, and the distribution is significant. If you have worked in Alberta for more than 6 months, you receive an additional 10 points, and even with work experience, the maximum score remains at 21 points, so the differentiation is not very substantial. The total score for age is only 5 points, and the maximum score difference based on age is just 2 points, which does not provide significant differentiation. The English score is a total of 10 points, and the score difference between CLB 4 and CLB 6 or higher is only 5 points. If you have proficiency in French, you can receive up to 13 points for language ability. Additionally, there is a relative bonus point system. If you have relatives in Alberta, you can receive an additional 8 points. The most distinguishing factor in the Alberta point system is the job offer, which can award up to 21 points. In particular, receiving an endorsement from the RRS community or obtaining a job offer in the TTS category grants additional points. Job offers from regions other than Greater Calgary or Greater Edmonton also receive extra points and priority. Additionally, there are 10 extra points available if you hold a certification corresponding to the job buffer or meet the qualifications required to apply for the certification. This certification includes EC certification, dental technician certification, nursing certification, and ART skilled trade certification. Well, now it's time for the conclusion. Let's take a look at the Alberta provincial government's point system. In fact, it seems that the provincial government's intentions behind changing the system are somewhat visible. The score differences in language, age, experience, and education are surprisingly not significant, and it seems that there is an effort to enhance differentiation through additional points in certain areas. So, rather than the intention to prioritize individuals with slightly better abilities, like in the express entry system, this approach aims to prioritize individuals who meet certain conditions desired by the provincial government. Here are a few factors that Alberta prefers. As you can see, having studied in Alberta or having relatives there is one of them. Additionally, the most distinguishing factor is the self-employment experience. There are additional points based on the region, as well as extra points for job categories and certification scores. The area where scores vary the most depending on individual circumstances is the self-employment area. In the current situation, having a job offer in the trade stream, THS, from a region outside of major cities seems very advantageous. The occupations that receive additional points may change frequently depending on the economic conditions of the province. The expression of interest (EOI) application process is quite simple. You can select your situation for each question. Since the system is not yet fully stable, it is said that the user interface (UI) submitted between September 30 and October 15 may not show scores immediately after registration. The first invitations are expected to be issued between mid-October and the end of the month. Many people are asking what the invitation score will be, but it seems that the score may vary significantly depending on the timing and the number of invitations. In the beginning, it seems that the scores will be quite high. The reason for this is that individuals who meet the qualification criteria have been unable to apply for a considerable time, resulting in a significantly larger number of applicants waiting to apply than usual. Therefore, the scores are bound to increase. There are concerns that Alberta might become as difficult to obtain permanent residency as Toronto and Vancouver. For Alberta to become like Toronto or Vancouver, I don't think that will happen in the near future. At least not in the next 5 or 10 years. The invitation score range ultimately depends on how many people, especially those who are well qualified, are attracted to it. For now, Ontario is the most preferred region for new immigrants. It is also a place where many good universities are concentrated, attracting graduates from those universities and young individuals eager to compete in professional fields. The competition here is intense, both in terms of quantity and quality. Vancouver's popularity does not seem likely to decline, due to its proximity to Asia and its reputation as the warmest city. No matter how popular Alberta becomes as a great place to live, it is difficult to catch up with Vancouver and Toronto. Choosing a region is becoming increasingly important for Canadian permanent residency. It is important to consider whether I can obtain permanent residency and also take into account my quality of life in order to choose the most ideal region for myself. Small towns often lack social infrastructure and have fewer job opportunities, so moving to the countryside without careful consideration may not be advantageous. Once the applications from the influx of immigration hopefuls right after COVID are processed, it is expected that the invitation scores will drop significantly compared to the initial scores. Therefore, if your score is much lower than the initial invitation score, do not be discouraged. Waiting will surely bring good news. I will continue to provide you with timely updates on Canadian immigration news.